Luckily, some people give me frankly good bits. Sometimes they're much better than anything I find because they come from somewhere else. And what comes up on South Wales Beach is hardly anything now because they put in those groins to stop things coming, to stop the movement of the land, which is downwards. And that means that the wood doesn't come in, only the plastic, because it blows in. So you only get seaweed and plastic, practically no wood at all.
I found a boat skeleton in the marsh. It was half under water, but not rotted. The dark blue paint was cracking and curling off it. My friend carried it back to my house. I laid it on the studio floor. It was nearly too good to do anything with, but not quite, because almost without touching them, bits of wood came out of my wood pile and lay down on the broken bones, leaving little gaps and splits of different shapes and sizes. They tilted slightly and at different angles. I kept going up to see what was happening when I was supposed to be doing something else. 2 or 3 hours disappeared in 2 or 3 minutes every day for several months. But while it lay on the floor, it got kicked out of shape at least 20 times, particularly by my photographer, who put her stand on its chest and kicked its side out of the camera's way. I quickly put the pieces back, but by the end of that session it had been out of shape at least 8 times. At last, after a very good lunch with my friend, I went to my studio and worked at top speed for 5.5 hours without stopping. I screwed everything into place. By then, I knew exactly where each bit needed to go. There was no choice, but they had to be fixed at once. They couldn't wait another minute. When at last I could see it, you can't look properly on the floor, I got quite a surprise to see that I had a kind of man there. Later I realized he was a Bogman. His head and feet had been partially burnt and some of his bones broken. He might have been impaled on a plank, which had become part of his body. Are those his feet, which don't touch the ground, but seem to hang on either side of what started as his body and which is burnt at the bottom? This piece works by the left-out shapes, the splits and gaps left by the wood, which doesn't join, and the angles at which the pieces of wood lie. The colour is equally important. I haven't painted any of it. I had no idea he would be a Bogman when I started.
I've got a huge wood pile, and I sort of go and look at it, and then I take bits out that I like. And then I just go on taking out bits that I like, and then I put them together. And I'm not trying to think of depicting anything at all. It's nothing to do with that. It's entirely to do with the shape and the colour and the depth and how the textures of how the pieces of wood sort of join up. It must be something that's in you that's doing it, and you're not conscious of it. And sometimes I sort of pick it out, and it seems to be such an extraordinary chance because I'm not thinking about it at all. It all seems to almost go together by itself. And when I'm in a good state, I pull out all the right pieces for a thing without thinking. And when I'm in a bad state, I don't pull out anything that works. I use all good pieces the minute they come in. It's the inspiration, it's the piece of wood, it's a frankly nice, interesting piece of wood that I want to do something with. You get much too good a piece of wood, it's almost too good to use, it's quite difficult. And you've got to be prepared to sacrifice it, like when you have to paint over one happy accident. Most of the time, just as found, and they're better like that, and only if something isn't quite right. For instance, the last one I did, and I got all the left-hand parts exactly right, and then the right-hand part was very difficult, and I couldn't get it right. And then I found that one of the pieces of wood that I'd used, it was the right colour, and it wasn't the right size. It wasn't quite fat enough. It was long enough, but it wasn't thick enough, and so I had to make a special bit and paint it. And then it just worked, and it just didn't work before.